This is a powerful
We're
new
going to
concept.
revolutionize
It's
voice
really
messages
all
where
about
we
data
want to get
collection and
change.
analysis.
We need to have an
to
active
change
voice.
ideas are what we
A
really
passive
ideas
voice
are what
won't
we
get us
really
where we
need.
want to go.
You are listening to Active Voice with your host Llewellyn King. Our guest today is David Naylor.
Hello, I'm Llewellyn King, your host for this journey together on Active Voice. We're going to talk to one of America's most enterprising and interesting electric utility executives. He is David Naylor, President and Chief Executive Officer of Rayburn Electric Cooperative in Rockwall, Texas, which is north and east of Dallas and part of the Dallas metroplex. It is a critically active area for growth. Many companies are moving in, many people are moving in, and this utility is a bellwether for utilities in the area. David, welcome to the conversation. Now, just explain for our viewers where you fit into it. You're an association. You provide power, generate it, buy it, and distribute it to actual distribution utilities. You've got 4 of them. How does that work?
Yeah, so we're an electric cooperative, and so that's our model, which means we're also a not-for-profit organization. And ultimately, the beauty of the cooperative model is we're owned by our members. So the people who buy their power from us are ultimately the ones who also own us, and it's their money that we're spending. So as you said, Rayburn is a generation and transmission cooperative. So we handle the wholesale side of things. We produce the power, we purchase the power, and then we deliver it to our distribution cooperative members. And we have 4 distribution cooperative members who then ultimately take it to their end-use consumer on down the line. But that's the beauty of the cooperative model is the people who buy their power from us own us, and we have no outside investors that we have to cater to or even really account for.
But you do have to borrow money, don't you?
Absolutely.
And you've just had a very large loan, I understand, from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Not from the not from the USDA, but we actually went out into the private market, and we were very successful in that. We actually originally went out for $200 million. We had over $1 billion of interest, and ultimately settled in on $250 million, so $250 million. And that all went to support the infrastructure, the transmission lines that we have in the place. So again, just a way to help improve our reliability and resiliency on the system.
What is the rate of growth in your service territory?
Right now, it's still pretty high. We're probably averaging almost 10% a year. On a long-term basis, we're projecting to grow over the next 10 years over 25%. That's total, not each year. That would be amazing. That would also be a little scary, I think, too. But and that's organic growth. So we're 90% residential today, and that growth is just simply new developments coming in. New subdivisions being built. That doesn't account for the large loads and data centers that we're talking about.
Are you going after the data center business? It's rather appealing, isn't it? It's one customer, big bill, big payment.
We really look at them as a great partnership and a great opportunity from both standpoints, from our ability to provide services to them, and then, as you mentioned, they are a single user, a large load. One of the challenges for us, being so heavily residential, is we are extremely dependent or extremely influenced by weather events. And that gives us a nice diversity on the system to where a winter storm or a long summer, protracted summer heat won't have as big of an effect on our system.
People are very interested in the impact of data centers. Are they going to put the price of your electricity up? What drives the price up? And is your price constant or is it rising?
I think our rate is really pretty flat. We and our members have done a really amazing job over the last several years, really since Winter Storm Uri, of maintaining rates at a pretty stable pace. The data centers, one of the things that we're really working with on those that we're talking with is making sure everybody is treated equitably, treated fairly, and they pay their fair share of cost. We're able to isolate their rate structures, so to the extent a lot of them like to be exposed directly to the market, and we're able to accommodate that. And then to the extent that we have to construct facilities, they're contributing to those facilities as well. So, I think we're doing everything we can to minimize, and I think we're being successful, minimize the impact that these data centers and large loads have on our other members and consumers.
Are the data centers offering financing of their own? Do they want to, you mentioned partnerships with them. Do they want to construct generation? Do they want to help you construct new generation?
Well, the short answer to that is yes. It really depends on the data center. We have some that they don't want to construct generation, but they want access to the market, and we're able to accommodate that. We have others that are wanting to construct generation, and we're able to work with that. In fact, some of the conversations that we're trying to have and working with is maybe leveraging some economies of scale where some generation is built that one would serve the data center or the large load, but also we could build sufficient enough to help us accommodate growth. And of course, Rayburn has the skill set to be able to manage that. And we're constructing another power plant that already on our own. So we have some experience there and some expertise that we're able to bring to the table.
How does this work with the data center? Do they buy their electricity through your members or directly through you as a bulk supplier?
So they have to buy the power through our members. Rayburn actually is prohibited by law from selling retail, so we're not able to sell direct to the large load or frankly to any retail load. But what we are able to do, and working with our members, is we are able to effectively sleeve or directly assign those costs to that large load, so that way they effectively are. It looks very similar to as if they're buying their power from us, but it does flow from Rayburn to our member and then to the large load.
What is your current generating mix?
So right now we are heavy natural gas. We are probably about 70 to 75% natural gas. We do have some hydro in our mix as well as a little bit of solar, and then we supplement whatever we need from the market.
So you're a buyer as well as a seller.
Correct.
How much do you buy in?
So, we're probably in that 5 to 10% range on average from the buying from the market on an annual basis. From during the year it may vary a little higher or lower than that, but that's the mark I would put on it.
I learned that you're building batteries. Is that correct? That you're adding a battery component to your system?
We're looking at batteries. We actually had a New Era grant for some batteries. Right now that's on hold, but we're continuing to evaluate the batteries. But I will say there's very much just on the drawing board right now. We don't have anything solid in the mix.
What is the generation that you're building as of now?
It is some natural gas. They're peaking units, so they're quick start, smaller units, 57 megawatts each. We're actually putting in a series of 10 of them to give us tremendous flexibility. This is part of from post Winter Storm Uri, one of the things the Texas legislature did was create a Texas Energy Fund with the idea of really improving or increasing the amount of dispatchable resources that are available. And so these peaking units fit into that category, and Rayburn is we're the only co-op right now that is participating in that program, and we're in that due diligence process and hope to have that wrapped up here in the next few months.
What is your total megawatt capacity?
So this right now we are at roughly 1,000 megawatts. These new units, when they come on, will push us over the 1,500 megawatt capacity mark.
What new technologies are you looking at?
Well, so on the generation side, we're looking at the units that we're putting in at our Rayburn Energy Station, these peaking units, they are newer technology. They have some quick start and great heat rate capabilities. We're certainly looking at the batteries as we mentioned. I think the technology for us actually is even more so on our wires piece, our transmission piece, where we're looking to leverage the existing right of ways and either reconductoring with wires that can handle additional capacity or greater volume going through them. We're also looking at relaying. Again, we talk about extreme weather, and that's not always just winter storms or the summer. It can be wildfire risk. And so we're looking at the technology on the relay for that the conductor to be able to, if there's a fire detected, that can snap that line or cut that line off or de-energize that line.
Are you in a wildfire belt?
Our territory really is not. I mean, we have some areas that certainly are. We're very mindful of that, but as far as in my 20 plus years that I've worked with Rayburn, we've never had any type of wildfire in our system.
But you're prepared for it.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? That's what we're trying to do.
About the other generic issues that the electric industry is facing, that includes, of course, wildfires, cybersecurity, and new technologies. Also, are you deploying DER? Are you using that as a tool and possible source of a virtual power plant on your system?
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate you bringing that up because I failed to mention that. But we are very much looking at distributed energy resources, the DER. We're talking with, and actually we have some agreements with both Generac for some standby generation units as well as base power with some batteries there at the homes and leveraging those relationships as well as those technologies. And, our members are the ones ultimately rolling that out, but Rayburn is working with our members and with those parties effectively create a virtual peaking plant, a virtual power plant, and be able to leverage that. So, as with the growth that we're experiencing, we're really tackling that supply and demand equation from both sides of the equation. We're looking at the supply with the bigger power plant and those peaking units, also looking at reducing the demand or leveraging the ability of the DER to reduce that demand.
You bought an engineering company. What is its mission?
So its mission from a Rayburn standpoint, and honestly, even broader than that, is it was really a top-notch civil and substation design engineering firm. And so it was a firm that we had used quite extensively, really impressed with the leadership there and the quality of work product. And, as we look down the road as far to determine what made sense for Rayburn, this was a synergy for both sides for us to be able to leverage that. And, again, I guess in some ways, Llewellyn, we both go back a ways in the power business. Rayburn's kind of the anchor tenant, if you will, for this engineering firm, but it's out there looking for, working with additional clients, additional cooperatives as well. But It's
So will
really
you be offering engineering services to other utilities?
through the engineering firm. Yes, they did that before, and we're going to continue and actually look to expand those services.
Of these problems which utilities talk about frequently, I mean, there are people who believe that in parts of the country we could see blackouts this summer, next winter, depending largely on weather and maybe the loss of large generators due to weather or some other unexpected crisis. In that world, how secure do you feel?
There's always risk, but while there is a challenge down the road, I mean, if we don't do anything, then we are going to create some issues. But I do feel pretty comfortable here in the near term. I mean, we're pushing the system in ways that hadn't been pushed before, but I do feel that at least based on how we operate and looking at, how others in our area are perform, you know, the power industry has historically been extremely conservative in our operations. This is pushing us to be a little more progressive, and I feel that we've designed the systems to be able to handle that. We got to continue to look and continue to improve. We can't rest on our laurels. We've got to continue to be proactive. But if I was a young engineer coming into the space right now, man, this would be a great time to be in the electric utility space, to be able to create and really implement some great designs and great technology. Of course, AI is out there to assist in that as well, and so we definitely have our challenges, and we can't get complacent. But I think our best days are ahead of us.
How do you see AI affecting Rayburn?
So we were actually rolling that out, and we've created Llewellyn. You've got different people have different AI characters, if you will. We've called ours Sam. That's our interface. And, again, Sam Rayburn was the kind of the father of the electric cooperative industry and that space. He was involved and he was a Speaker of House when the Rural Electrification Act was created. So we borrowed Sam and have a caricature of Sam, Speaker Sam. That's our interface for our employees and things to use. But what we're really trying to do is make AI practical. It's while some people can make it a black box, that's not our goal. Here, what we want to do is make it very user friendly. We certainly see it as a way to be able to expand people's and employees' skill sets. And so we want to make that interface and make that capability to be fairly easy to use, but really recognizing it's really just another tool in our tool belts. And so that's the piece that we're really trying to leverage, and that's going to apply to people who are writing, engineering reports, writing legal briefs, any of the documents that we may have, compliance documents on a day-to-day basis here. But the other part of it is, we produce a lot of data from loads, market prices, generation resources. And so I'm really excited about it being able to leverage it to analyze what are some resource trends that we have, what are some ways that we can improve how we operate, whether it be better identifying pieces of equipment that might fail, or how we operate power plants. Can we gain some efficiencies there? By the same token, can we be a little more proactive in terms of where's the best spot to put a new substation or a new transmission line, and really leveraging that analytical capabilities that it has to better paint pictures. And really, I think the other piece of it, Llewellyn, is help us explain some of the complications in our business to people who just, hadn't really thought about it before, or all they care about is flipping the light switch on and don't understand why their power bill goes up.
Do you see a time where you'll use an AI agent to manage DER, to squeeze the most out of it?
So I certainly think that is a possibility, and it's probably closer than we, either one of us want to maybe even think. You know, the the benefits of AI is it just allows us to do things that we couldn't normally do, but we've got to maintain and make sure we've got the right people in place to interpret the data and to be prepared to, not just take AI at face value. We've got to make sure it's properly trained. We've got to make sure that we have the people in place to say, yep, this makes sense or this doesn't make sense, and then help to calibrate that as we go forward.
David, you've had these kudos as a good place to work, but that region is a pretty competitive region of the country. What do you think makes Rayburn Electric Cooperative a good place to work? And don't say yourself.
Well, I wouldn't have said that anyway. Some of these things that happen are in spite of me, so that's certainly not all on me. But I think there's to your point, Llewellyn, the Dallas Fort Worth metroplex. We got 23 Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of them have located here just in the last 5 to 10 years. So I think one of the things that I think from Rayburn's standpoint, and certainly from the employee's standpoint, is we don't have hard and fast defined roles. I think over a third of our people are working in jobs now that they weren't originally hired to do. So we're very proactive in terms of looking at people and evaluating employees as far as what's their skill set. Maybe they fit better over here versus where they were, and we make that transition. And then I think ultimately, Llewellyn, the one thing that I tell employees here, and I think resonates, is I can't promise you that a lot of things about your time here at Rayburn. What I can promise you is you will have an opportunity. And people, I think employees really appreciate the fact that, they get an opportunity, and that opportunity means that they can try new things. They get an opportunity to, while we're not necessarily a bleeding edge or first runner of a lot of technology, we're not necessarily far behind. So they get to try, involved in new things, new products, new services. And, I like to think that we're a little bit of outside the box thinkers here. And I think people like that.
Magic wand, what would you wish for?
As Rayburn has continued to grow, we certainly have the challenges and normal aspects as we've really transitioned from a small company. I mean, when I first came on about 15 years ago, I was employee number 8. When I took over about 8 years ago, we had about 22 employees. We're over 100 employees now. And so we're transitioning from that small startup type, way I'll call it, organization to we're maturing. And my magic wand is I want to keep that same mentality as we continue to grow and expand and develop. And we're working at that. But my magic wand would make that process really easy.
David, I always find it a pleasure to talk to you. I hope that next time I interview you, I won't be talking to Sam.
I'll make that commitment to you. I appreciate it.
Great utility executive David Naylor, President and CEO of Rayburn Electric Cooperative outside of Dallas, has been my guest today. Thank you, David, very much. Until next time, cheers.